What if it's empty? What if we just peeked inside?
We could throw parties. You could put on one of your plays. We could yell.
Hi, I'm Steven, and I have a guest with me today. Her name is Yashia, and we just talked about The Last Black Man in San Francisco on the Movie Club podcast. You should listen to the episode before you listen to this one, or not. It doesn't matter. So
all seven of you, it doesn't matter.
All seven of you, it doesn't matter. So what I wanted to talk about has something to do with The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yes.
But then it also has to do with Waves. Both of these movies got a lot of flack, or
a lot
of flack, whatever.
A bit of it, a bit controversial upon release, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you there,
because there's white people, the white guys specifically, directing stories about black people, young black men. And some people are like, oh my god, they're black stories. It was why these white people directing black stories.
Yeah.
So I made you watch Waves before.
Well, I said that I wanted to watch it. You liked that idea.
Yes, that's how it.
That's really what occurred.
That's
but
really
yes,
what
happened. I did watch Waves today. That 2 hour and 15 minute movie. Did not know it was going to be that long.
Yes. It's kind of a long movie. So what I really want this conversation to be is, about white people directing black stories and our opinions on it, because it seems like the internet has a lot of opinions and a lot of on the subject and a lot of opinions in general. So why not just add another opinion into the mix? It's not like two more opinions, and it's not like anyone listens to this podcast, so
So who even cares? We can say the most controversial thing about how we hate white people, and it just will go unnoticed. No one will know.
That's good. That's definitely
except for now that I said it. Now they're done. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, black people living, white people filming them.
Yeah, and just you saying that, I mean, it's like
that's what it is.
It just
when you think about it, that's what it is. Does it make you? You're biracial.
I am biracial.
Does that make you? Do you feel like part of you is? I don't know. Would you feel weird if a white person made a movie about you or filmed you doing something?
If a white person was like, "Hey, you're black, and I want to film a black person in their natural habitat," I would be like, "You are sorely mistaken that I'm going to let you do that, and we're probably going to get a verbal argument about it. I don't care how liberal you are."
Ooh, I don't care how liberal you are.
Because it's like
your podcast.
it seems like this whole thing is like. It's like with there's white people like filming at Black Lives Matter protests that are happening, and like the slow motion, and it's like, oh my god, we just figured out racism exists. Watch our video, and it's like,
watch our video.
I'm just like,
to our YouTube channel.
And I don't get, it's like they're not adding anything to the conversation, and it's not like I want to talk to a white person about race. I don't want. It's like having a white person talk at a Black Lives Matter protest. I'm like, that's not something I want to hear. I don't want to hear your perspective on racism. Like, that's not important to me.
I want to know what you thought about Little Women. That's what I want to hear you talk about.
That's what's really important.
No, but I think that is an interesting thing that you're saying, because that's what I find the most interesting about movies that are about black people but are directed and or written and directed or whatever, creatively helmed by white people, is this voyeurist aspect of it, because you have one end where it's Agnes Varda, her short Black Panthers, where it's literally just a video of the Black Panthers, and then there's so there's like that camp where you sort of have like Black Power Mixtape, which is like the Swedish journalist sort of showing like the movement as they saw it. And then there's like your Trey Edward Schultz like Waves camp, where it's like white people making or like attempting to make these very sensitive and like very vulnerable like inside stories that like have Black people in them.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a very interesting thing because I think that that's like there's a distinction to be made, because I think that there are movies where the fact that white people are voyeurs and that like I am white and I'm watching and filming Black people is like different from like The Color Purple.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what
See,
I mean?
and there's thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but there's also like there's the thought of like what actually makes something a Black story, like what makes something like what crosses the line into making it like white people should not touch this, like white people should make a slave movie, I mean, or something like that. It's like would 12 Years a Slave have been different or seen differently if it was directed by like Brad Pitt, who produced it and like we said in our last
people.
loves Black people because he
loves Black people
he
and
fucking,
Black people love him.
and Black people love him. I mean, he's produced Moonlight, 12 Years a Slave, Last Black Man in San Francisco, Beale Street, and Selma, and then he's producing Barry Jenkins' next TV show, or his TV show on the Underground Railroad. So I'm like,
that's gonna be a TV show?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Number one, stoked because his episode of Dear White People is the best one, episode 6.
It is.
But anyway, back to Brad Pitt loving Black people.
Brad Pitt loves Black people, and I'm
loved
like,
them, yeah.
But like, it makes sense for him to like, sure, if he loves Black people and he wants to see these stories made, it makes sense for him to step back and not be like, hey, we should get a white person to direct or write these things, and him being like, okay, I want to see the story be made, or I want to help Black people find their voice and whatever, I don't know. But like him stepping back and producing it and letting Black people do their thing instead of being like, hey, I am white, I'm going to make a movie about John Lewis. It's like, that doesn't
do that.
That doesn't feel right to me. And I think it has to do with like people's intentions. And it's like, does that story? Yeah.
I feel like that's my biggest thing, because like I've thought about and talked about this a lot about what makes something a Black movie, because you see like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon whatever has put like Black Lives Matter like as a genre. And I remember looking it up, and I was watching or reading this book called I think it's called Redefining Black Theory, and it's talking about how it's by this guy Mark Reed. I probably got the title wrong, so
is he Black?
On that, but it is what it is. Yes, he is Black.
Okay.
And he was talking about, and he was, it's this book that's talking about, like what makes a Black movie and how Black movie is not a genre, and how like that's sort of showed by like stuff like the BET Awards, like there's so many different kinds of Black stories, and then there are like white people who make things for Black people, so it's like what makes it so. And I feel like it is about like intention, and it's about who the audience is supposed to be, because there are Black movies that aren't Black movies,
right.
But there are also like Color Purple, Black Power Mixtape, stuff that I would put in, this like Black canon space that were fully directed by or written by, because like Coming to America, white person.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think Coming to America is any less of a Black movie. It's really hard.
But also, like, what makes a Black movie to you? What makes like a Black story?
But it's also like, why is it like? What is it like? What is that like? Why is that why is that a conversation we're having? Because we're having this conversation. But like, like, why is that?
Why is it a term?
Yeah, like why is
Why is
black
it even
film
separate?
a
Yeah.
thing? Like why is that a thing that we're like able to distinguish between anyways?
I feel like it shouldn't be. I mean, it's like with Waves, there's like one mention of a character
like
being
Waves
black.
is not a black movie
Right.
at all.
But people were very upset that Trey Edward Schultz was trying to make a black movie, or he was telling a black story, and I feel like it doesn't really. And from what I've read about him, it's a very personal story. Like the parents are based off his parents, and then he was a wrestler in high school, and those are things that he dealt with, like Tyler in the movie. So it felt like a very personal story, and that they just so happened to be black. And he said that he had a conversation with Sterling K. Brown and Calvin Harris Jr. and was like, I want to make sure that I capture authenticity of like the black experience, the black family voice and stuff like that. And I feel like what he did, it did. I feel like
Interesting.
I feel like the whole, like, I don't know, like the relationship between like Tyler and his dad, and like his dad pushing him and whatever like that. I feel like, and their dialogue and their voices, they'd seem black to me, or like what I know.
Did that seem black to you?
what I know.
The little experience I have about being
about being black, yeah.
The little bit of blackness that I had felt like it was really
really shined out of me.
I think is who's the actor? What's his name? Kelvin Harrison?
Kelvin Harris Jr. Yeah.
Harris Jr.
Harrison.
Is he biracial?
I don't think that he is.
Okay. Interesting.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you think that has something to do with me being biracial? Do you think that
I also feel like, yeah, but to be fair, I think that a lot of things, like anytime I see something that has to do with someone being biracial, I think about you now.
Oh, it says because I'm the only biracial person you know. It's like you're white.
Biracial person.
It's like you're a white person, and then you're like
that I speak.
And then it's like, hey, Barack Obama's running for president. I have to tell my one black friend. So I'm that one black friend to you. Okay, that's fair. I guess.
Well, yeah, that's because you are this interesting case where like I, am being forced to really understand and respect a white mom biracial, and that's not something that I do very often. And so it's very interesting to me, like how you see the world. But anyways, about Waves. See, okay, it's like I agree with you, but I don't know. I feel like this movie reminds me a little bit of Strange Thing About the Johnsons. Have you seen?
I have seen Stranger Things About the Johnsons.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Short film.
Not Stranger Things.
I've seen Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Ari Aster's AFI thesis film. And it's, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, a sort of non-spoiler, I guess, synopsis of it is that it is about this family who's going through a very interesting, we have a very interesting family dynamic. Things get a little Ari Aster, they get a little weird, they get a little violent. But the huge thing about this movie is that there's zero mention of them being black in dialogue and in like any of the plot points, but it is an entirely black family, and Ari Aster directed it. And I remember it blowing up on like Black Twitter. Everyone found this movie randomly, and it just like soared to the top. Like it ended up on Short of the Week because like people were really, it was on Short of the Week because it was originally on Vimeo, had gotten staff picked, and then like was on Short of the Week at least for a little bit. Because that's how I saw it.
Because of how popular it got on Twitter.
Like I knew about it because I was like obsessed with Short of the Week and stuff like that. And I think I might have seen it after Hereditary, before Midsummer, obviously, but I don't know. But anyways, it was this huge thing about how he was directing this movie. It had nothing to do with Black people. But like some of the things that happened in the movie, people were really upset because those things were happening to Black people, and usually, like, they were saying that wouldn't happen. Like, Black people wouldn't allow that. Like, that wouldn't happen
Interesting.
with Black people. And he was like, look, like, I just made this movie, and, like, I wanted this actor. And so, like, I had this guy who I wanted to be in it, who was the older version of the son.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is. But he was like, okay, well, I have to make this whole family Black now. And then he did.
Yeah.
And then, but he definitely, like, was aware of what he was doing and was like, oh, I think it's going to be a little, like, going to be a little controversial, going to be a little weird, because he's, you know, showing Black people in this very strange familial space. But it has nothing to do inherently with them being Black. And that's
Right.
what this movie reminded me of, because while the beginning was like, like, you know, very Black dad and Black son sort of way. But I mean, like, it wasn't disingenuous, I don't think, because, like, I have nephews, I have a Black brother, like, I know, you know, those things can get like that, especially when you're playing sports and, you know, whatever. But it definitely, it felt like a man who wasn't Black making a movie about Black people.
It felt like that to you.
Yeah, it definitely,
Interesting.
it definitely felt very, like, and it's because I'm not necessarily even opposed to, like, this voyeurist sort of thing, because even in, like, Last Black Man, like, it's a lot of wides. Like, I feel like, I don't know, because even I'm thinking about, like, I don't know if you've seen Girlhood by Celine Sciamma,
No, I haven't.
but it is very like that. Like, the whole time I felt like I was watching a woman watch Black girls. But that wasn't bad to me, though. Like, I really liked the movie still, and I think that she showed them with a lot of beauty and a lot of grace. But it definitely felt like a person watching people. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I don't think that I've had that feeling. I don't think I've had that feeling with The Last Black Man in San Francisco or Waves.
Last Black Man less so, but that's because I'm pretty sure that's probably because they were so, like, Jimmie and Joe were so together on the whole thing.
Yeah, and he's an actor in it, and
Yeah,
they're friends in real life, and wrote it.
Friends.
Yeah,
it was about him, like, stuff like that. So I feel like that sort of makes that movie a bit of, like, I don't know. But I guess my question to you would be: do you think, because it doesn't bother me, like, I see it, and I think that there have to be certain, like, things in place. Like, I think that the best example of this that I've seen are Girlhood and Last Black Man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and, like, Black Power Mixtape, but that's sort of, like, different because it's a documentary, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this idea that people aren't shying away from the facts that, like, they are voyeurs, or it's like Last Black Man, where it's like, this guy is Black and I'm working with him the whole time. This is his story. I'm never pretending like it's not his story.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the two sort of versions of this that I can, like, respect. But I guess, like, do you think that it should happen? Or do you think that white people shouldn't?
Do I think that white people
about
should direct
Black people?
Black
Do you think that
stories?
white people should not direct movies? No, but, like, about, you know what I mean, about Black people.
But it's also, I mean, I don't think that's what I don't know, because it's like, I don't have a good example of what a Black story is. Like, there's no story that is, like, the plot or the movie's central. I mean, that's not true. Last Black Man.
The Hate U Give exists.
I also haven't seen that movie yet.
I haven't, and I won't. I read the book, though, for class.
Oh yeah, you did. You talked about
it. Was
But there was wasn't the director Black?
Yes.
Yeah, so, like, that doesn't count. I'm saying, like, I haven't seen an example.
Oh, you haven't seen a movie
directed.
that's, like, about the thing is black people,
Yeah.
but it's directed by a white person.
But then
Have
also,
you seen The Color Purple?
I was gonna say there's The Color Purple and there's
White
Last Black,
person.
there's The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Coming to America, white person.
And a white person.
Soul Plane, white person.
Was that really directed by a white person?
I'm gonna double check myself, but I'm pretty because I had to do a thing for class. I'm pretty sure Soul Plane is by a black person. Okay, director Jesse Torero, Dominican.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Still cannot confirm nor deny whether he's white though. But there's that. We could have a whole another discussion about that.
That is, yeah. I think it's a case by case basis because it's like there's not whole like white people should not direct movies that are about black stories or black experiences, because there's like The Color Purple.
There's Color Purple is really sad.
Yeah.
My grandma loves it. Tyra's mom loves it.
Tyra's mom does love it.
Her mom does really like it. I don't know, because I feel like that's also part of a larger conversation of like should the dominant culture tell stories about the marginalized communities, or even further than that, should people not a part of a community make art about that community in general?
That's true.
That's a huge conversation.
That's I see, and when you put it like that, I feel like the answer is no. But then it's also it's like
shouldn't?
Whether people shouldn't. It's like you don't have the same experiences that I have, and
you don't know.
You don't know me. You don't know.
I think it's weird because it's like, do I feel? Are there movies I'd love to make and stories I'd love to tell that aren't about a culture that I directly belong to? Yeah, sure. And I think it's a lot about access. People feel this way because there aren't enough movies made by those people.
Right.
And so that's why there's an argument. And it's not necessarily that you shouldn't, it's that we should be able to first, and we should be able to more than you, which I do agree with. And so if until there are enough of that community making their own art, if that means that, I can't make that story, or that Susan can't make that story, then I think that that's how it might have to be. In terms of black white though,
yeah.
I think that you can, because I love The Last Black Man. I think that that's a fantastic movie.
I feel like that's different though.
There has to be a lot of intention. Oh, you mean because, straight up not involved in creative process?
Yeah, because if it's I don't know. Well, I was watching mid-90s with Morgan. There's a lot of niggas said in mid-90s. And it was written by.
Mix them?
No, I mean, I'm talking about Jonah Hill wrote and directed the movie. He wrote the movie completely by himself. And then that goes into Quentin.
Honey Boy has a nigga in there.
Oh.
There's
As
the guy,
one singular?
There's one nigga in it.
Oh.
And one nigga the word, and also one nigga the person.
Yeah, nigga the person.
But yeah, and then he says it. And I got a copy of the screenplay in book form. It's really cool. But it's in there because I looked when I was watching it, and I was like, so he wrote.
Right. And it's like
I don't like it when
right, yeah,
I
exactly.
want your brain to stop when you see that word.
Right, yeah, exactly. But it's Jonah Hill was writing mid-90s and was
but that's authentic, I guess.
Yeah, and put that down, and he was thinking that, and he was.
But it's whatever. Should you? I don't like that Jonah Hill had the word nigga in his thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it's that. That ties into this whole conversation. I mean, it's and of course, there's Quentin Tarantino loves
loves black people. It loves black people. The photo of I wish that this was video, just so that everyone could see the photo of him in the dashiki that they showed at, I don't even remember what
he was
awards
directing.
It was.
Oh no, it was the Oscars, wasn't it?
Was it the Oscars? It was the Oscars.
Yeah.
That happened so long ago. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh my God. It feels like it's been
What
2 years.
But yeah,
But
when they showed him in the dashiki, and everyone like
everyone
we
was
were
just like,
we saw that
whoa.
you did that.
Oh my god! And then there's proof on the internet now that's apparently he's done that multiple times.
Wearing dashikis on set.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, actually.
I'm not even gonna get into someone that we know that has worked with him that has a story about that.
Oh,
Yes.
I do remember this. Yeah.
But like, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like, but like, people will say, "What about black men making story with white stories?" And like, but then of
But
course it's
that's
like
totally different though, because like I mean, because speaking about like people, this is an argument that I'm reiterating from Twitter, but people being like, you know, you can hire black writers to write your white CW trash ass TV show,
Yeah.
because like I hate the CW. I would like to make that very clear
in every conversation.
Yeah, minus Gossip Girl. I didn't know that Gossip Girl was CW, and that kind of sucks because I love Gossip Girl.
I was
But
gonna
anyway,
say what?
about how like, you know, black people can write white stories because black people have been forced to like consume your content and know the way you speak and be in your spaces in a way that white people haven't had to with black people, at least on a large scale. And
That's
so
true.
it's different. So it's
Yeah.
totally different. That's like women can tell stories about men way better than men can tell stories about women,
That's definitely true.
you know, because we have to. And that's now I run this podcast.
I don't know if I have anything else to say.
Wow. Would you make a story about, would you write something about women now that you think that it's wrong?
I've always thought like I can't, like I've had an idea and before and I was like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. And then I was like, that doesn't make sense for me to write. And I don't think that I would do it well. I don't know. But then it's also like, it's like Bo Burnham and
in eighth grade.
in eighth grade.
Like,
but then it's also like,
Ari asked her, because a woman asked this question. She was like, you know, like, do you make a bunch of movies about women, or where like women are the main characters, women are the most complex characters in your movies? Do you feel like you're making like a conscious decision to do so? And he was like, no, I don't. I just write about the thing that happened to me, and I guess I do. He was like, I guess I do sort of identify with these female characters in like a deeper way, but I'm not like making the decision to make stories about women. I just identify with these characters who happen to be women, even though like it is, but I guess that is sort of, but he was admitting that to him that is sort of like victiming himself, because he's writing about like stuff that happened to him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so he's making women the victim.
He's identifying more with these female characters. I mean, they may not be like, I don't think they're victims, but he identifies with them more because like in a lot of these movies, like they're being done wrong in some way. And he feels like, especially in Midsummer, more so than Hereditary, and he feels like that's the place that he's coming from for himself.
So he thinks that he's correcting it.
Yeah,
that was a legitimate question. That wasn't like, oh, so he thinks that he's doing it better. But I think it's also like,
is he correcting what the men making
movies about women and doing it wrong?
Well, I don't think that he was thinking about it. He was saying that like he doesn't really think about it. It's more like he internally is just, that's how he sees how he was in the situation.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I also feel like it's like with those two situations, it's like with Waves, it's like you can make a movie about Black people like Trey Edward Schultz did with Waves and not have any mention about like it could have been any race that Tyler was in Waves. And it could have worked. And it's like could have been the same thing with eighth grade. It's like he, like Bo Burnham, made it a girl instead of a boy. So would the movie have been different? Yeah, there would have been things that were different, but it's like what he was trying to get across at the core of it is still would have been the same.
Interesting. Because I feel like, because I think that but I'm pretty sure Bo Burnham made the conscious choice to make her a girl because girls are just like cooler. And like, it's like, I think it would have been a fundamentally different movie though if it was a boy.
No, it would have been.
But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying in that like, they're not like, it's like different when you're setting out to make a movie about a different group of people than it is when like you're trying to make a movie and you think that the best way to make this movie, the movie you're trying to make, is by making it about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Community of people. So I understand what you're saying. Well, I don't know, because I feel like there's different sections to this argument, because I agree with people like that, you know, white people shouldn't jump at the chance to make Black stories, because I don't think that they know what they're talking about most of the time. But then you have the camp of people who are like, Greta Gerwig doesn't have enough POC in her movies. Blah, blah, blah doesn't have enough POC in their movies. This movie would have been better if it had more blah, blah, blah. And like, even like, like to talk about Gossip Girl again. I love Gossip Girl, and I think that Gossip Girl would have been, I don't know. It's like, do I think that Gossip Girl would, there's 2 Black people in like 3.2.
It's like it's
Black
like
people in Gossip Girl.
It's
do
like
I
that
think
with
that
Friends
Gossip Girl would be
too.
a better or worse show with more of them? I don't know the answer to that question. And then it's like, because I was talking to someone about like white people making like this sort of conversation, and it was like, you know, should I tell a story about Black people or about people of color if I don't think I could do that authentically?
Yeah, I don't think that
people, like, is that worse than just making a movie and it's just like all whiteies all the time? I have no idea. That's the part of it where I get like, I don't know how I feel about it, because I do think that Lady Bird needed more niggas in it for sure.
Yeah,
but do I think that Greta Gerwig could have written
no
niggas in it?
No.
Well, maybe not.
No. But I think that's when you, like, with the conversation you were saying, with you having with your friend, I think that's when you take the Brad Pitt route and you're like, okay, I'm going to produce this story. I have the story I want to tell. I'm going to find someone, I'm going to find a person of color to do this story because I want to see it be done. And like, they will have their touch on it. I'll be creative on it, but like step back and let them do it. And I'd be like, hey, I'm going to run the show. I'm Greta Gerwig and making a movie about Greta Gerwig. And making a movie about.
I would like to point out that I love Greta Gerwig, by the way.
Yes, you do.
I just wanted to make it clear that I don't at all. You know, white women, they make a couple of points a couple of times. Most of the points are in Little Women, Lady Bird.
You're lucky that you backtracked that, because Greta Gerwig is listening to this podcast, and now
I just want to make it really clear that I love her, and so I just never want anyone to get, you know, confused.
Are there any Black people in Little Women? Or no,
there's not a nigga in Little Women.
There's none in Lady Bird, is there?
Yes, there is.
There is?
The fucking teacher. The theater teacher.
Oh, it's funny because the theater teacher is Black.
He's like a famous
and then
guy.
In the movie, in the short film that you made, the theater teacher is white. And the rest of the kids in the class.
It was a call. It was a call to Lady Bird.
Yeah, Lady Bird. Sure. Okay, yeah. You intentionally
did that. But it's the guy from Fences. I don't know what his name is. But I love him so much. I want to give him a hug.
It was Denzel. Denzel Washington was the teacher? I don't remember that.
It was not. There were other people in Fences. I can't think of his name.
It was Viola Davis.
Maybe I should look up Fences instead of.
It was the son in Fences.
It's Stephen Henderson. That's what it is.
I didn't.
Also in
that.
Lincoln. Also in Manchester by the Sea. Also in Devs.
I didn't
also
know that.
in Dune. Coming
soon. Yeah, never really.
But yeah, I guess the answer is we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. And if you
We're
scroll
not
to
black enough to answer this question properly. King, I am. You're not.
I was gonna say I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess in the end, it's like it's all intention. It's all intention. It's all, who. It's all about crewing. It's all about who's on the above the line. It's all about who's making the decisions. Like it's all about the behind the scenes stuff that I think makes or breaks making a movie about a community that isn't yours.
Yeah.
Like point blank period. And like in terms of like specifically white people making black stories, I think it's like completely about, who are you talking to? Like who are you consulting with? Who are you sending your drafts to? Like who's putting up the money for this? Like I think it's really down to like who's creatively influencing you, I guess, and like who, how authentic. It's like how important is authenticity to you when making this movie, because the audience can tell, like we'll know.
Yeah, but then it's also like, okay, if Joel Talbot, you're talking about community, and like if a white person grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood and that's their community, that's who they grow up around, that's who they hang around for their whole life, it's like what makes them, I mean, this is a bigger question, it's like what makes something black, and it's like what makes whatever, and it's like because like in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, James Jr. is talking about the house in the neighborhood, and he's like, that's not even yours anymore. That's like those people around you, that's not the community anymore. So it's like, is that house, is this person still, I mean, that also kind of goes into like what you own, what we were talking about with The Last Black Man. But
well,
it's
are
like,
you saying are you saying like because
does that give them any more right to make a black story?
Oh, does Joe Talbot have any more right than Trey to make a black movie?
I
Is that what
guess
you're saying?
that was what I was saying about I mean, Joe Talbot could have been growing up, like I was saying, about with all these black people around him and whatever. So that might have been the case. It could have been different.
I don't know,
but like, does that give them any right? Or is there any difference between like Trey growing up around only white people, Joe growing up around black people, like Jimmie being his best friend for this whole life? What's the difference? If Jimmie wasn't involved with the movie?
I think that because this is a bigger we're breaching some real like political territory here, because then there's the thing about like, okay, well, I'm white, but I'm from Oakland or whatever, and I grew up around hella black people, and they said nigga all the time, and so I say nigga all the time, or like they spoke in a way that was, AAVE, so I do now.
Yeah.
Because that's the people I was around. And so like, am I at fault for speaking and acting like and saying those things when that is genuinely like what I know? And like, to me, it's like it's like, I don't know, because that's a whole weird conversation of like, especially, I mean, the nigga thing is like, that
pretty
is
clear.
What it is.
Yeah.
If you should say it or if you shouldn't, and that's like that on that. But like with the vernacular thing, it's like, well, that's how I talk because that's how these people talk. So should I not be able to talk like that?
Right.
And it's like, I think it's a yes and a no, because when people are talking like that, though, in a way that's like loud and boisterous and like clearly a facade, like we're not stupid, we can tell. And I think the same way, like that's the same thing, that's my same sentiment towards the films. Like I think that the one difference between someone like, I don't know where Trey grew up, but like I can assume it was probably with a lot of white people, and Joe, who presumably was near at least more black people, is like, I think it teaches you a little bit more empathy, and it teaches you a little bit more about how you can be authentic about it. Do I think it inherently makes you more capable though? No, I don't. But I do think that it gives you the tools to possibly make something that's better.
Something that we
My
didn't
opinion.
talk about.
In my humble opinion.
Something
In
that
my
we
humble
didn't
black opinion.
humble black opinion. Something we didn't talk about was like the music choices in waves, and people. It's very. That's that
It's really, that's divisive for a lot
right,
of people.
and that's what people. That's one thing that people were saying about the movie and how it's like
People
he's
are
like playing
pissed
up
about.
the fact that he's black because he's like a black guy punching a wall, and Tyler the Creator's playing.
Okay, so for the small audience, I didn't think I was gonna like Waves at all. I will say that. I thought I was gonna hate it, and I didn't love it, but I liked it. I did enjoy it, and I will say that the part of the movie when he's mad at his girlfriend and trying to get her to answer him, and they play Tyler the Creator, was genius. Was Chef's Kiss genius? That part of the movie was good, and I don't care. But I also feel a certain way. I think that music, like, I get that people are like, it's distracting and it like makes it a stylized like piece of garbage. Like, it makes it seem like a music video more than a story. And I get that, and I respect and I understand that opinion. But
Yeah,
I
honestly.
don't agree. I think that the music was cool. And because I mean, they were teens. It's a movie about teens.
No,
All teens do is listen to music, so why not? But I get that it's like he's playing hella rap music because he's a black kid.
yeah, it's
why
like
isn't he
there's
listening
Kanye
to
West, there's her.
Coldplay?
Yeah. So it's
But
like,
it's like, how many niggas listen to her? Probably a lot. I don't know. A lot of niggas listen to Cater to You, I will say. So maybe a lot of niggas do listen to her.
so you don't think that you don't think that like Trey Edward Schultz was making his intention was like, okay, like black people listen to Kanye West and like Frank Ocean, so I'm gonna put that in here.
Oh, I totally think he did that.
You think
Like,
that
that's my
okay.
thing, is that I totally think that he did.
So
but
you like
do
it? Do you like the movie less
think
because
that
of that?
was no, that's my thing. Is it, do I think that he was like reaching a bit? Yeah, for sure. But like, was he wrong? No. I think that that's my thing, is that it's like, can I tell that you were doing something because you were like, oh, niggas do this?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But do I inherently think that that makes the thing you did less than?
Yeah.
Not all the time. Sometimes yes, but not in that instance. No. Like I respect arguments of the music for other reasons. Like, it was distracting, you know, but the things I said before. But like the argument that the music was too black.
Yeah.
Is like, but he is black.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make the decision to make. I think that but that's like, I feel, to me, you can't make a decision to make a movie about niggas and not at least a little bit make the movie about niggas. Like, it doesn't have to be like Black Trauma Central. Like, I don't think that I think that would be way worse. But I think that there are like little things that, like, you know, are nice to see, because I can tell like where your heart's at in terms of like authenticity. Like, I kind of dig that.
That's interesting, because it's like you think that, like, if I don't know,
but I also like authenticity more than anything.
right?
So like, even if your thing sucks ass, but it's like clear that like you were making the thing that like is your thing, like you or whatever it is that you want to make, even if it sucks, you really wanted to make whatever this thing is, and you were gonna make this thing as like good as you could think to make that thing. I'll usually fuck with it in some capacity. And so like when it comes to like the reason why I love Last Black Man is like because that is a love story. Like whether it's like, you know, in the end really like Joe's love story to Jimmie, like I love that I can tell how much Joe Talbot loves Jimmie Fails when I watch Last Black Man.
That goes
And like
back
that's what I love about that movie. And I mean, but that goes back to like, you know, love is the most important thing in the movie to me. But you know, and I can tell, I don't know. And with Waves, it's like, do I think he fell off a little bit? Do I think it's a little bit like, okay, buddy, we get it. You're making a movie about niggas. We get it. but I don't. My problems with the movie are beyond whether or not they're Black. But I do think that maybe it wasn't the best of I don't know, attempts, I guess. I don't know. But that's just my humble. But it's hard because it's like I have problems with the movie beyond it being about race. So like and the movie isn't about them being Black. Like they are Black, and there are things that are. There's Frank Ocean in it, so obviously they're Black. But it's like it's not. But I guess that you know that goes back to your whole thing about like, well, what makes it Black? What would make it Black? If the police shot him, like, would that make it Black enough? I don't know. So I guess it's like there are many different avenues that this could go, but it's like I don't know. But I guess that's my answer in the end would be that it's about intention and authenticity and the strength of one's attempt to be as authentic as possible, even if that means never mentioning that they're Black.
Wow.
I like to be poetic, and that's it.
Okay.
This is my podcast now.
Yeah, this is your podcast now. You should end it off. Sign off for us. I'm
Yashia. Should I say my handles? I have a Twitter. It's YL Burrell, 2 R's, 2 L's. And I have a Letterboxd, which is Yashia B. I'm not going to spell my first name. You're just going to have to figure it out. And yeah. That's Steven. I'm sure he has.
I'm the guest.
He's the guest. Where can the
people find me? That's a good question.
Find you?
I'm on Letterboxd, and on Letterboxd I'm cut to Black. That's it, and I'm planning on changing that.
In this podcast sometimes.
And I'm on this podcast.
To an undetermined amount of time. Who knows how long?
Undetermined amount of time, yes. And to an undetermined amount of people. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for having this conversation with me about white people and hating white people.
I love talking about how much I hate white people.
Oh God.
Kidding. I enjoy all people.
I was gonna
Some
say,
more than others. And that's where I'll leave it.
This is gonna get us canceled
I'm gonna get canceled.
Really if we ever get started.
But it'll be funny if I get canceled for something else. And this is the thing that I think I'm gonna get canceled for, but really it's another thing.
Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. You say a lot of controversial things.
It's me.
Well, yeah, thanks for listening. Bye. That was it. That's all I had. I
that was it.
That's not your old house and that's not your neighborhood.
Hey, if you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Make sure that you check out the other shows that we have on the Facebook, the other main podcast that comes out every other Tuesday. Make sure you leave a like, share it with your friends and your family. Go check out our YouTube where we have content from other Production 1200 works. And make sure you follow us on the Instagram. We post sometimes there. We'll do more. We'll try. Maybe. Like us on iTunes podcast, rate and review. Give us them 5 stars. And we'll see you next time.